You already did it today. You probably did it without thinking. You took raw ingredients, applied heat, and transformed them into something your body could use. You called it making breakfast. But what you actually did was perform the single most consequential act in the entire history of your species. Cooking did not just change what you eat, it changed what you are. Most people assume cooking was invented because food tastes better when it is hot. That is the obvious answer. But the obvious answer is almost never the real one. The real answer reaches all the way down into your skull, reshapes the bones of your face, and explains why you are sitting here able to read these words at all. It starts about 1.9 million years ago. Your ancestor, Homo erectus, is standing on the African savanna. The body looks almost like yours. 2 legs, 2 arms, an upright posture. But the face is wrong. The jaw is enormous. The teeth are huge, flat, and wide. The gut is the size of a barrel, and the brain, compared to yours, is tiny. Homo erectus is spending roughly 6 hours every day chewing. 6 hours. That is not an exaggeration. That is what Harvard primatologist Richard Wrangham calculated after studying both modern primates and the fossil record. Raw food is hard. Raw food is fibrous. Raw food demands enormous amounts of muscular effort just to break it down enough to digest. Your body cannot extract much nutrition from raw plant matter without first spending enormous amounts of energy processing it mechanically with your teeth and chemically with your gut. And that is the trap. You burn energy to get energy. Your gut gets a large share of the body's resources just to keep itself running, and there is not enough left over for anything else to grow. Then something changed. The evidence is a hearth, a controlled fire site. It was found at a site called Wonderwork Cave in South Africa and dates to roughly 1 million years ago. But Wrangham believes fire use, even uncontrolled fire, began even earlier, perhaps as far back as 1.8 million years ago. The timing lines up almost perfectly with something strange that happened to the Homo erectus fossil record. The jaw started shrinking. The teeth started shrinking. The gut started pulling inward, and the skull started expanding. Cooking changes food at a molecular level. When you apply heat to a starch, you gelatinize it. When you apply heat to protein, you denature it. The long, coiled chains unfold. The structure breaks open. The body suddenly does not have to work nearly as hard to get inside. A cooked potato delivers almost twice the usable energy of a raw one. Cooked meat delivers far more absorbable protein than raw meat while also killing off the parasites that would otherwise steal a portion of whatever you absorbed. Suddenly the gut had less to do. Less work meant less gut. Less gut meant less of the body's energy budget getting consumed just to keep digestion running. And that freed up energy for something extraordinary. The brain is the most expensive organ in your body. It accounts for only about 2% of your body weight, but consumes roughly 20% of your daily energy. For millions of years, the body could not afford to run a bigger one. The gut was eating the budget. But once cooking came along and made food dramatically more efficient, the equation shifted. The gut shrank, the brain grew. Anthropologist Leslie WHYLO and biologist Peter Whaler published this idea in 1995. They called it the expensive tissue hypothesis. The logic is clean. 2 expensive organs cannot both be large at the same time. The body has to choose. Before cooking, the gut won. After cooking, the brain did. Your brain is roughly 3 times larger than it should be for a primate of your body size. It is the reason you can plan, imagine, deceive, create, remember, and read. It is the reason complex language evolved. It is the reason art exists. It is the reason you are watching this video on a device that your ancestors could not have conceived of. And according to the evidence, it exists at the size it does largely because somewhere, about 1 million or more years ago, one of your ancestors held raw food over fire and changed the trajectory of the entire species. But the story does not stop at biology. Fire changes behavior. A fire requires tending. It does not burn on its own forever. Someone has to keep it alive. That means someone has to stay near it. And if someone stays near it, others gather around it too. The campfire is not just a cooking tool. It is the first social technology. Primatologist Robin Dunbar has spent decades mapping the relationship between brain size and social group size in primates. Larger brains allow for tracking more social relationships, and one of the key evolutionary pressures that kept pushing brain expansion, according to Dunbar, was the complexity of living in larger groups. Fire made large group living more stable. You could keep warm. You could eat together. You could talk. Language almost certainly accelerated around fire, not because fire created language, but because fire created the conditions for it. Long evenings, safety from predators that feared flame, time to sit with other members of your group and use the social brain that cooking helped build. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied the Kalahari Bushmen and found that daytime conversation was dominated by practical task-oriented topics. Evening conversation around the fire was dominated by storytelling, social bonding, and the transmission of cultural knowledge. The campfire is the first classroom. There is also something else. Cooking requires delayed gratification. You find the food, you build the fire, you wait. Raw eating is immediate. You find the food, you eat the food, you move on. Cooking introduces time.